good afternoon and welcome back to Questioning Sense with me, Matt. It's another freezing day here in London. I left my house this morning about 5:20, very thick frost on the ground. And I'll be honest with you, it feels like I've had some kind of a cold since the end of November, right up until the middle of January. I'm over winter. And in fact, I was about to do a top 10 summer fragrances. That's how annoyed I am with it. But before I get into doing yet another list or anything like that, there's a review that I really needed to do for a really exciting new perfume. A new perfume to me, and a fairly new perfume. I think it came out last year, so 2019. Now, I hadn't, up until about a month ago, I'd heard nothing about this company. I'd never heard of them at all, and I didn't know anything about this particular fragrance. Now, if you are like me and you're on Instagram, Questioning Sense are on Instagram, and there's quite a lot of banter with other sort of fragrance bloggers and reviewers and fragrance photographers. And there's one in particular, the guy's name is Dan, and he's on Instagram as Fragrance Weirdo, and he introduced me to this particular fragrance. So I want to say thank you to him for making me aware of such what I think an important fragrance. And it's by a company that I've never heard of called Swedoft, and that's Swedoft, and they're from Helsingborg in Sweden. And the fragrance that we're going to look at today in particular is called Rasputin, and here it is. Now, first thing I've got to say about this is I only got a partial. There's about 20 mils in here, and I wish I got more. Fragrance Weirdo sort of kind of started speaking about this, and then there was like a sort of flurry of activity as people trying to get their hands on it and ordering it and stuff like that. And I thought, right, I really need to smell this because there's lots of really interesting sort of comments coming out about Rasputin. So I investigated it further and I managed to snag a partial with full presentation. Now, Rich will get up some photos of the presentation because before we get actually into the juice, the presentation, the box that this comes in, and the whole, it's amazing. It's, you know, I don't know, it puts many niche houses to shame. Just the care and the effort that's gone into making these wooden boxes that the bottle sides in. It's beautiful stuff. The bottle itself is lovely. There's a really solid cap. There's the sprayer, and there's the logo on, you know, there's the sticker on there. This is really good stuff. This is really quality. This is real quality stuff, rather, should I say. This is kind of a real niche fragrance. So yeah, there was a real clamour of excitement about this, and I kind of, you know, sort of fell into the, you know, bought a ticket and fell on the hype train. So I really wanted to try it. Really interesting and quite a complex fragrance. One that I think will take a few wearings to appreciate fully, a bit like myself. Because when I first got it, I didn't really I wasn't blown away by it, but I did become quite addicted to it very quickly. So there's a measure. I mean, as you know, I've got lots and lots of fragrances. So for me to keep going back to one, especially a new one, it takes a lot for fragrance to do that. And Rasputin has certainly done that. So this came out, first of all, Swedoft from Helsingborg in Sweden were founded in 2015 by a guy called, if you ever get to see this, sir, please apologise for my pronunciation. His name is spelled S-F-E-A-N, and then the surname is J-A. So I'm going to say Sven, and then the surname Jar, I believe. So, and he's also the nose behind these fragrances as well. Obviously a very talented individual. So Rasputin itself came out in 2019. And when we look at the notes that are in Rasputin, there's an awful lot. They've kind of, I think, decided to use every note they could find, every material they could source to make this this perfume they've used. I'm joking, obviously, but there's an awful lot going on. So at the top you have bergamot, you have jasmine, and you have pineapple, and then in the middle you have cardamom, you have patchouli, you have cinnamon, you have cloves, and you have dark chocolate. And then on the base you have cedar, you have argarwood or oud, and then you have tonka, you have musk, and you have incense. Now, what you actually get in the bottle and what you wear doesn't seem to me to tie up too well with that list of ingredients. When I see things like dark chocolate and oud mixed with something quite light smelling like bergamot, I was completely, I didn't know what to expect. What are we going to get? Are we going to get a really heavy oudy fragrance, or are we going to get kind of a light, slightly oudy fragrance, or what? Don't know. You don't get that at all. I'm wearing it at the moment, and bearing in mind I haven't got a lot of it, I will begrudgingly spray a bit more for the review. Now, when you spray Rasputin, the first thing that you'll notice is that, oh, it doesn't smell how you think it's going to smell. It's just, I get from the opening, and it's one of my favourite materials used in perfumery, I get a strong smell of bergamot, which I love. But this isn't like a light, sweet or overly ripe bergamot. This is kind of a bit like a waxy bergamot. The jasmine, which is a clean jasmine in this case, it's not dirty, it's not slightly rotten, which sometimes happens with jasmine. Jasmine and the bergamot combine to give quite a light feel, but it's not sweet, it's not bitter, and it's certainly not sour. It's slightly sweet, not a really, really sweet, overly citrusy kind of opening at all. It feels a little heavy, almost like, as I say, sort of like the waxiness is there. You could imagine honey being in this. There isn't any honey, but the sweetness isn't a saccharine sweet. It's really, really well done. It's beautifully delivered. The pineapple there kind of, although it's in the top, the pineapple doesn't sort of appear until it gets a bit later on. The first sort of the spices that arrive, cardamom is the one that you'll notice the most, or certainly to me anyway, it's the one I notice the most. It's more like cardamom and cloves come in. But, you know, because it's quite a new fragrance to a lot of people, there's been a lot of talk about it, and a lot of people are interpreting this fragrance in different ways. A lot of people are picking up on the chocolate, a lot of people are saying it's really cardamom heavy. I'm getting none of that. I'm getting a cardamom base that kind of sets the scene. It doesn't dominate, it doesn't take over this fragrance at all to me. The cinnamon is kind of, again, it's a background player. The cloves are a little more prominent, probably not as prominent as the cardamom, but all of this is there while you have this wonderful jasmine, this wonderful bergamot, and then the slow, slight introduction of pineapple. Some people have said that they're getting a slight Aventus feel to it. I don't. If anything, it reminds me a little bit more of Tiziano Terenzi's Orion rather than Aventus. This is not an Aventus clone. So if you're looking, because you've seen pineapple and you thought, right, this is another version of Aventus. Nothing like Aventus at all. Possibly a little Aventus-like when it dries down, but to me this is not in any way, shape or form like a clone or something that you would buy instead of Aventus if you're looking for an Aventus-like fragrance, because this is not it. This is a lot more interesting to me than that. The woods are there. Now, the chocolate and the oud, of which I mention, and which are certainly in the listing, in the note listing, I don't get it. I don't get any chocolate whatsoever, and I'm aware that other people do, but to me, even in the deep dry down, I don't even get a sort of a dairy-like feel to it. It's strange. I do get tonka bean, and I think the tonka bean is there to kind of smooth everything out, and quite often for me, tonka kind of knits things together rather than, unless it's like a tonka heavy fragrance, tonka doesn't seem to dominate this at all. This is, as I say, it's kind of like a linking material. It sort of smooths everything out and holds everything together. There is a slight note of incense that comes through, but it's not spicy. This is a really, really lovely fragrance. There is musk, and the musk just helps keep this kind of light and fresh and really, really addictive. When it comes to performance, I misread this. When I first wore it, I didn't think it was very loud. I thought it was just kind of there, sort of skin scenty. But the more you wear it, the more you become aware of it. The performance is really rather very good, actually. It projects fairly softly, but it projects for a long time. And it lasts an incredibly long time. It stays above your skin for, 6 or 7 hours. It's always there. You're not looking for it. After about the 7th or the 8th hour, then you will start to look for it, and it will start becoming a bit more of a skin scent. But for the first sort of 7 hours, you're not looking for it. You're constantly aware of it. But it's not overbearing. It's not cloying. It doesn't push out too much. It's a lovely, lovely fragrance. I can't, as I said earlier, I'm kicking myself that I only got a small partial of it. But now, what Swedoft do that I really applaud is they do 30ml bottles. Now, there's a couple that have also that they've released that have been highly recommended to me. There's There's one which is an oud, I think it's like a Cambodian oud fragrance, which has been I've been told smells a little bit like Tom Ford's Oud Wood. So I really want to explore that one because that's a kind of a fragrance that I really enjoy. And there's another one, Royal something, which again Rich will get the names up on the video for you. So I really want to do that. So what I may do is order sort of like 3 30ml bottles because I really want to explore this house. In terms of where and when you can wear this anywhere. This to me would be the perfect signature scent, and why I think that's so is because every time you wear Rasputin, you'll pick up on something different. A different note becomes a little bit more prominent. It's not linear, it changes quite a lot throughout its wearing. You become more aware of different sort of notes and different accords within this fragrance. It's very well made. And as I say, it's quite an addictive one. You will not stop smelling your wrist because there is so much going on. And as I say, certainly every time I've worn it, it's become more and more interesting, and I'm picking up on different nuances within the fragrance. So highly recommended. And also, you know, the presentation is fabulous. If you haven't heard of Swedoft, which I didn't, then be prepared to hear a lot more about them, because I think, you know, the more people smell this, the more you're going to start hearing about it, and the more you're going to start seeing about it. This is a really good fragrance, and one that I strongly recommend you try. There's nothing about it to not like. I mean, I've read some criticisms about it being overly spiced, or, you know, the chocolate's too much, and I honestly cannot for the life of me get that. So, you know, a good one for me to wear, yeah, definitely. If I worked in an office, I would, you know, certainly be wearing it pretty much every day. And it's one that I have worn to work and really enjoyed it and had positive reactions from as well. It's not a massive compliment getter, but people are kind of interested in what you're wearing. Oh, that's nice, what you're wearing, rather than, oh, wow, what you're wearing. It's not that kind of fragrance, but it is a really good one. So listen, thank you very much for your time. I will be coming back with a list of summer fragrances because I am fed up with being cold. But I don't want to take any of the attention away from Rasputin. This is a great way for me to kick off the year by wearing this one. So thanks a lot, Fragrance Weirdo, for tipping us off about this one. Try and find out more about Swedoft as well, because they're really interesting house, and Rasputin is highly recommended. As always, it's a pleasure spending time with you. So thank you very much for your time. Cheers. See you on the next video. Bye.